China wants to surpass the US. Many say China's size and massive investments make China's rise inevitable. But is that true? Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Since the end of World War II, the U.S. has been the most powerful nation on the planet. But for years, people have speculated about who would surpass it. Many predicted the Soviet Union would surpass the U.S. Then it was Japan. Both of those predictions fell flat, as did my own prediction, Stankonia. I still can't believe Outcast didn't take over the world after this one. Nowadays, a lot of people say China will surpass the U.S. and that things will be different this time. Many point to how China's 1.4 billion people easily dwarfs America's 330 million. Even though China's gross domestic product per capita is only a fraction of America's, China has 4 times the population, and its overall GDP has rapidly risen to be the second largest in the world. Dates vary, but a lot of people say China is on its way to surpass the U.S. by 2035, even after China's disastrous zero-COVID policy. This, in turn, can help China's ever-growing investments in technology and the military. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has made it clear that he wants a great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation in all fronts. This includes winning the tech race against the U.S., with more Chinese state-led spending, and more espionage. Many predict China will overtake the U.S. in core 21st century technologies within the next decade. This includes things like AI, 5G, quantum information science, semiconductors, biotechnology, and green energy. Yes, green energy. Because if anyone cares about being green, it's the country that's ruining other countries' environments, mining for resources, and producing more carbon than the rest of the developed world combined. I guess they're just polluting for the love of the game. China could also overtake the U.S. in space. Some say that China could even win the arms race against the U.S. China wants its military to modernize by 2035 and become world-class by 2049. Modern and world-class? Oh, so China wants its military to be like every overpriced New York restaurant. $8 for bread? Now that's a war crime. China has already surpassed the U.S. in the number of ships, missiles, and air defense. And it's building up its non-commissioned officers. It would seem that China's rise is inevitable, especially if you believe that China can quickly make decisive long-term policies better than the U.S. But things aren't all that rosy for China. For one, China's economy is a lot weaker than people may think. China always tweaks data to make everyone believe it's better than it really is. According to the Lowy Institute, an Australian think tank, China's actual gross domestic product might only grow 2 to 3% until 2050, not the 5 or so percent the Chinese government wants you to believe. China's like every guy on Tinder that says he's 6 feet tall. We all know you're 5'7", Tanner. Even if its GDP surpasses the U.S.'s, China may never surpass the U.S. in economic size. Sure, China's GDP may officially become number 1, but its living standards and wealth aren't on track to exceed America's anytime soon. It struggles with low productivity from both workers and corporations. And as its current housing crisis shows, China's decisive policies can also be incredibly dumb. Just because you're decisive doesn't mean you're right. After all, a lot of people decisively got this haircut. China's economy also operates on debt. A lot of debt. If debt doesn't hurt China, then its demographic crisis will. Thanks to the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian policies, China is on its way to lose more than 260 million over the next 3 decades and gain millions more elderly to take care of. Some estimates say China's workforce could shrink by 15% over the next 15 years. China is the one place where they're hoping robots take over people's jobs. Although who knows what that would do to China's nihilistic youth, many of whom have already given up work. Not to mention its nihilistic robots. As for its technology, China still relies on foreign imports, especially US software. It's aware that access to foreign technology could be limited by sanctions. That's why it's spending a lot of money on research and development. But it remains to be seen if this actually translates into technological breakthroughs. China tends to be very wasteful with money. Corruption is basically baked into the Chinese Communist Party. The same could be said about its military. While it's true that China's Navy outnumbers the US, that might not be the case by 2040. Outnumbered or not, US ships on average are a lot bigger and carry more missiles. Size matters. Sorry, Tanner. It's also questionable whether Chinese soldiers will be better trained or more capable than American soldiers. Even if China obtains more advanced weapons systems than the US, can Chinese troops use them effectively? They lack real-world combat experience and live in a rigid, corrupt system that limits efficiency for political loyalty. Now, I'm not saying that we should underestimate the Chinese Communist Party, but we also shouldn't overestimate them. We also need to keep in mind that China doesn't need to surpass the US to be a threat. Imperial Japan, for example, didn't surpass the US in most ways, and yet it attacked Pearl Harbor. What we do need to be afraid of is giving China the resources it needs to become more powerful and confident enough to attack countries like Taiwan. We must remain diligent so the CCP can one day fade into obscurity, like Stankonia. And now, as a thank you to my wonderful fans who support China Uncensored through the crowdfunding website Patreon or the exclusive social media platform Locals, I'll answer one of their questions. Logan asked on Patreon, what are the top things you've been censored for, only for it to become mainstream acceptable narrative later? Well, Logan, we have seen more and more censorship from YouTube in the last few years. The first thing that comes to mind is the idea that COVID could have come from a lab leak instead of a wet market in Wuhan. That was something pretty controversial that was suddenly okay to talk about almost a year later. But most of the censorship we face isn't because of controversial non-mainstream opinions. Unless criticizing the CCP is a non-mainstream opinion, which I don't actually think is the case. Most of the YouTube censorship is the result of YouTube's ham-fisted attempts to keep people from being harmed, which are then exploited by pro-CCP bots reporting on us. For example, when we were in Hong Kong reporting on the protests in 2019, YouTube would repeatedly demonetize us for showing protest footage, even peaceful protest footage. Like, we literally showed a protest of mothers, demonetized. A video documenting a historic 2 million person protest, demonetized. The demonetization was so bad that we even got media coverage. Then in 2020, it was the coronavirus. YouTube actually removed multiple China Uncensored videos for the first time, and they wouldn't tell us why. YouTube started removing videos that were months old because they were dangerous, or because they violated community guidelines. Sometimes they would tell us the video had been flagged for review, which meant that people were reporting it to YouTube. I wonder who would do that. All of the videos that were removed were later restored after we exposed this on social media. YouTube isn't removing our videos anymore, but they are age restricting them, which means people who aren't signed into YouTube can't see them, no matter their age. Age restriction also essentially kills the views of a video. Again, we believe the videos are being maliciously flagged by pro-CCP accounts. And they're often age restricted because we showed footage of CCP human rights violations. I've done a couple videos about this problem, including one about how YouTube even censored our coverage of the recent nationwide protests in China. You can check those out in the links below. Thanks for your question, Logan. And all of that is why having you and everyone else who supports China Uncensored through Patreon, or even through just sharing our episodes, that's why it's so important for the show. Join us on Patreon and you'll get a lot of cool perks as well, including me answering your questions on the show. Check out patreon.com/China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.